We're here at the launch of Hyundai's all-new Kona, based on the same platform as its i30 that was launched recently. This is an important vehicle for Hyundai, and we're all going to do slightly different things about it. David, what are you going to do?
I'm going to do the exterior. Sedans can be bland, but SUVs can be adventurous, I think, in the way they look.
Okay, Alan?
I'm going to talk to the guy that designed the interior.
Excellent.
Nice boy, Kevin Kang from America.
Okay, and I'm going to talk about where it sits in the market and how important it is to Hyundai, and just some general overview about the vehicle itself. So let's go and have a look at it.
So I feel quite privileged to have you in the car, Kevin Kang.
Hello, likewise. Pleased to be here.
Thanks for coming to Australia.
Thank you for having me here.
Well, we haven't had much from you about the car, just a little briefing this morning. So do you want to tell us a bit about what you did?
Sure, yeah, I focused on the interior design of the car. Of course, I worked together with the exterior design team, which I'd be happy to explain as well. But like I said, my primary focus is the interior, and here we are. This is the final product, and extremely proud to present it to you guys.
It's lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell us a bit about it.
This actually happens to be my favorite color scheme, the lime green, the acid yellow accents around the vents, and the glossy black. And it just pops so much contrast, and that's what we wanted to go for. We wanted to really convey this idea of high contrast, youthful, kind of this vibrant, high energy feel to the car, which I think is very relevant for the character of the vehicle. And overall, we just wanted to make this bold statement, for Hyundai, it's the turnaround point, the Renaissance, and yeah, it's all good.
And you showed me some of the concept drawings that you made for all of this stuff. How do you think it translated into fact?
Yeah, I think, what I'm extremely proud of it is I'm looking at the dashboard right now, and as I explained to you this morning, we work with a lot of clay models, and this looks just like a clay model. I mean, this is just like a clay model.
How does it feel seeing something
it's
that you
unreal.
designed?
I know every single lines in here, and it's just, we put a lot of time into making all these lines perfect and make sure that you have enough space when you're driving next to me, and it's, it all comes together. We talk to the engineers a lot to perfect the ergonomics, and here it is. So
if I can't reach the USB, I can write to you in California and say, mate.
It's the engineer's fault.
Oh yeah. Pass the buck. Pass the buck.
Exactly. But,
what instruments and things like that? When did you get to sit in the car and have a look at the instruments and go, yeah, that all looks and feels fantastic?
Well, when we start making our first clay model, we already start with rough dimensions, meaning the engineers provide us with the location of the cluster, a rough location of where the navigation screen would be. So we have a clay model with mock-ups of these things in place, and then we just try to make a beautiful shape around it.
And you did.
Thank you.
What sort of made you decide to have kind of like a floating tablet though, and then have buttons and stuff? Was that you, or was that design?
Yeah, and the design world is really moving towards a floating style navigation screen. I mean, the reason for that is because the gadgets that we associate with, for example, iPad, is a very thin kind of a floating screen, right? And that's the image that we want to get across. And of course, also what we take into account is the visibility. The higher the screen is, the better. But if you imagine big volume behind the screen, it's just going to look like an old TV, right?
Sure.
So we try to reduce the volume in the back of the screen like this, and have this be very thin look and kind of almost like an iPad.
And I asked you this morning about the look and the feel of the thing, and you mentioned that you wanted everything that you could feel and touch to be soft and luxurious and so forth. So did you have any say in the materials, or did they say we're going to make it from this, or did you say to someone, this is what I want, pal? I want that. I want that one.
Yeah, the material selection usually is done towards the end of the project, and what I do is I suggest the shape of things. So my responsibility is the visual, right? So whatever you see here, and the lines, right? The line control, the surface quality of the dashboard is what my specialty is, and in the end, depending on what kind of a trim level you're in, what kind of option you have, the marketing and the manufacturing division chooses which material goes where.
Wow. So do they have to run that by you?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So if if they put something really crappy in, would you go, oh no, mate, no, you're not putting that in my car?
Yeah, so we certainly fight for it, and also it's always, but it's a good cause, right? Like there's an argument between the engineers, there's an argument between the cost guys about, of course they're gonna want something that is as most efficient as possible. I'm gonna want something as beautiful as possible. So we always try to meet in the middle.
And you were telling me your partner is an engineer.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So do you have those conversations at home?
Absolutely. So I can give you one example is, okay, so we bought a house and we wanted to paint the wall. Right? So I go, I want to paint it green. Yeah. Just because it's cool. Yeah. Right?
It is cool.
And she goes, please tell me why that's cool. What's the cheapest paint you can purchase to make it green?
Oh no.
And so it's the logic part of it, but I think you need it though, right? Because it's like if you just go out there and be emotional and be like, I want to paint it green, I want to paint it rainbow.
I don't know. I'd like to see if there were no cost considerations and no construction considerations. I'd like to see what you come up with. So that drawing that you showed me, with the really low roof, I said it's a shame it doesn't look like that. What I meant by that was the roof would be this high.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point why we need engineers in our company, isn't it? Because you would end up with products that are difficult to use, too expensive to attain. So
and I think that's ergonomics into account.
Yes, absolutely. So you have to feel comfortable in the car, and I mean the car's gonna look great with a roof that is half the height, but as you said, you're only gonna fit very small people in there, and that's only maybe 2% of the population. So you have to respect what they have to say about ergonomics. The cost target, like I said, the car has to be attainable, which I think it is. The Kona is available in a very affordable price segment. So we designers, if we get it all our way, it's gonna turn really awesome looking, but probably not so useful and too expensive.
I don't know, wouldn't you like to build just one concept vehicle that had like our drawings would be, because we all did that as kids,
right?
And the wheels would be this tall.
Yeah, and we started off like that. Actually, the design process of Kona actually was like that too. You propose a model in the beginning that is purely a revision, and then we edit, like you edit a writing, right?
Yeah.
If you win proofreading a paragraph.
I try to succeed.
It's the same concept. You start writing a paragraph, but of course there's going to be spelling mistakes in it. There's going to be things that probably will offend some people, so you start editing it out, and that's exactly what we do for design. So we start with a paragraph, which is the model, and then we get feedbacks from various departments, very smart people, and then we start refining and this is the product.
So you mentioned to me about such things as like vents. You automatically know that behind that there's going to be some tubing and some wiring. And how much does that play into what you do on the outside?
On the outside, meaning the exterior?
The outside, the outside,
shapes.
Like
it drives the overall architecture of the car. So I think for me, my opinion is a good designer is a person who knows what are the basic things that's going to end up in the vehicle. Of course.
Well, okay, take this for example.
Right.
What made you go do that and then out like that?
Yeah, well, basically we need a big surface, a large surface here for the airbag, and that's a given, right? You need airbags for safety. So you reserve this surface relatively untouched. There's not, a lot of crazy lines going across it. Yeah. So you try to come up with a theme that is unique and just style around the flat area that you have to avoid. So in this case, what we did is we have this kind of we call this the middle pad, where it really hugs around the outside of the dash, and this character line right here. This character line, what it does is it visibly widens the dash, so it hugs around to the outside of the fence, and what it does is it feels like the space is actually bigger than it is.
Yeah.
So,
and this is not only a character line, but it's also practical. It keeps the sun
keep
off
the sunlight out. Yeah. So we have what we call the hard points, where we have to keep the visor, the cluster visor is what we
that's
call
the
it.
word for it.
Yeah. So the visor would have to, be, so far out to keep the light out of the cluster. So now you can see the cluster very clearly without any sunlight bothering it.
And it does. So I haven't had low sun so far, but it's there are cars where you'll be sort of driving in and the sun changes direction, all of a sudden you can't see anything.
Everything washed out. Yeah.
Tell me about the heads-up.
Heads-up display, we're extremely proud. So we did work with the engineers to make that work, meaning in order to create a combiner type head-up display, what you see like that, like a jet fighter style, we need to design a visor to accommodate that. So
there's mechanics under
there's a box underneath.
Allows this to fold up.
It emits light, and we try to offer the most vivid image as possible. I think you're looking at it right now. I can't see it from here.
I sure am.
Yeah. And,
So it's telling me at the moment that I've got, I don't know what information it can have displayed, but it's got speed,
yeah.
lanes, so it can't see anything there because there's no marking. And it did have, there's a little steering wheel that comes up, which is what I assume is going to keep me in the middle of the
Yeah,
road.
it's customizable too. I think you can see some navigation information in there too.
Yeah.
But as from the design side of things, the challenge for us is to make this area not so busy looking. That's our terminology. In some cars you see the head-up display unit is just like a ginormous box with all these part lines, and what it does is it reflects off of the windshield. So we try to keep the shapes here as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And that was our duty.
I can see a little bit of the reflection of the top of the device.
Right.
I mean, obviously that's the unit that drops into the dashboard.
Right. You'll see a little bit of it. It's hard to avoid having no reflection because there's something there.
Yeah,
right?
it's no problem though.
Right.
Like it's not distracting.
Right.
Which is,
But the key is to minimize it.
so tell me about the seating.
Yeah, the seating. I mean, it's the seating. Actually, there's a seat department that develops the seat. So we work with those guys.
Did you flick it off to them and say, okay, mate, I need some seats?
Yeah, I mean, I think the seat is a very complicated animal, if you can believe it. So there's a lot of safety features involved, and hazards, and there's a lot of things in here, packaged in here. So these guys are very cleverly packaging all the stuff that you would want. For example, I mean, this car has cold seat, heated seat, which normally is not available in such a small SUV. So they have to figure out how to package all this in such a thin cushion and fit it in the interior model that we designed. So we work closely with these guys, and I think what's fantastic about the seats especially is the piping details, the stitch details that match some of the vent details, and we work hand in hand to coordinate that. And I think the key is overall it looks composed and it looks like the same part.
That's great.
Yeah.
Actually, it looks a little bit almost boy racerish. I don't know. Like there's a touch of young in this.
That was
but you're a millennial, so
that was the pure intention was to look vibrant, and it's supposed to catch your eye. And the most important thing is iconic. You have to look at it, and it should be unforgettable. You remember it. I think features like this you remember. I think especially the exterior, when you see one drive by it, particularly in this color, it's an image you don't forget. I mean, I think I'm not just saying that because I worked on it, but that was the most important
you are
thing.
saying it because you worked on it, let's face it. But that's okay. It's okay to be a little bit proud of what you've done.
Sure.
Are you proud?
I'm extremely proud. Yeah, I can't believe I'm sitting here with you in Australia, driving the car that used to be just pure in clay form, and I think it looks fantastic.
So tell me a bit about you. You're 29, did you say?
No, I'm close to 40.
Close to 40. So you're not a millennial.
No.
So you studied. This is obviously not your first design.
No.
How many designs have you done? How many cars?
If I count the cars that I worked on, it should be, I think it's around six or seven production cars.
In a career lasting?
I actually used to work for Honda before joining Hyundai, and this is the first car that I worked on at Hyundai.
I was in a Type R yesterday.
You were in a
Type R, Honda Civic Type R.
okay, Type R, yeah, that's a fantastic car.
Can't you understand English?
Oh no, your accent was too exotically Australian for me, but yeah, in a great way.
So you're from California. You told me you're from Los Angeles.
Yes, I live in Irvine, which is right next to Los Angeles, and I was born in Korea, so you could say I'm kind of a hybrid of the two. I grew up in Germany. Actually, I went to school in Germany for 6 years and lived in Austria.
Wow.
And whenever I say Austria, some people in America think it's Australia, and it really
Our foreign minister does too.
Yeah.
It's okay. She went and sat down in front of Austria at a table.
Yeah. So I've been to all these places, but Australia, first time. So very exciting.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be one of those interviewers that says, so what do you think of Australia? But what do you think of Australia?
I think it's great. I mean, not to sugarcoat it or anything, but first time I got to Sydney, I came here at a very short notice. I had no expectation. I didn't know what to expect, but I think it's great. There's a lot of multicultural activity I see, and the food is fantastic. I think the food is amazing.
Nice.
There's a lot of European flavor, which I really like.
And great coffee.
Great coffee. Everything's clean. I don't know what it is.
Oh, we were talking about that before.
Yeah,
I've been to Los Angeles.
So well maintained. The streets are very clean, and I think that's a great thing. So.
And it's nice and green because we've had a bit of rain.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not normally like this.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
normally like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's more lot of green trees, and yeah, the drive here was great. The gravel and the mix of the pavement. Yeah, that was really fun.
One more thing I wanted to ask before we move to the outside. In the luggage compartment, do you kind of decide how that's going to look as well?
The luggage compartment, no, that's done later in the process where the package engineers figure out how to maximize the cargo capacity.
Right.
So my concentration mainly is in the cabin, and later on in the process they marry the two parts together to kind of fit it in our exterior model.
So that's it for the Hyundai Kona, their new small SUV. Alan, what did you think?
Great. I think it's great. I think it'll suit everybody. And I think Kevin had a lot of good stuff to say.
And Rob?
Oh, look, I think they've actually done a pretty good job first up for this small segment of the market, and I think some of the other people should be pretty worried.
It looks good without going over the top.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.